Is a short sentence able to shake the heart of a Jungkook to tears in front of millions of viewers? Were Taehyung's emotional words not just an ordinary phrase, but a veiled gesture of farewell that ARMY had never imagined before? It is this question that is now rolling profusely among BTS fans, causing a wave of speculation, confusion, to emotional panic. How could a brief moment create such an impact and change the narrative about the future of the global group? In recent days, social media has been filled with video footage of Jungkook seemingly bowing his head, trying to contain his emotions, but finally unable to let the tears fall when Taehyung uttered a sentence that was considered so full of meaning. The words are simple, but behind their simplicity, there are nuances that give rise to layered interpretations. Armies around the world are debating loudly. Is Taehyung just a spontaneous statement of warm friendship, or is it a serious hint that indicates a major transition period in BTS's body? This phenomenon invites both academic and emotional questions. How can a statement trigger such a huge psychological impact, not only for the individuals directly involved, in this case Jungkook, but also for the global community connected by identity as the ARMY? If this is indeed a sign of separation, how will it affect BTS's existence as a popular culture icon that transcends musical boundaries and penetrates the social, political, and even academic realms? The issue first surfaced after a widely circulated recording of the concert, showing an emotional interaction between Jungkook and Taehyung. Some fans testified that Jungkook's facial expression changed drastically shortly after the sentence was uttered. There is no official explanation, no direct clarification. There is only silence that actually adds to the dramatization of the atmosphere. The international media began to cover, asking the same question: is BTS hinting at something bigger, something that has been hidden from the public? Furthermore, speculation about a possible breakup is no stranger to the dynamics of a large group like BTS. However, this moment is becoming more and more relevant as it occurs in the midst of a period full of uncertainty. Some members are busy serving their mandatory military service, while others are trying to balance solo careers with group commitments. In a complex situation like this, any small gesture can quickly be interpreted as a sign of a big change. However, is it really so? Or is the public just too carried away by emotions, overreacting to a moment that is actually simple? This is where the dilemma arises. ARMY was divided between those who believed Taehyung's words were a hidden message and those who judged that overinterpretation was detrimental to BTS themselves. The question is, who is right? To be sure, Jungkook looks real moved to tears. It was not an edit, nor was it just a camera game. The fact that a world-class idol reveals his fragile side on a public stage is strong evidence that the moment has significant emotional weight. And in the world of Korean entertainment, where everything is measured and carefully calculated, spontaneous moments like this feel even more suspicious. Is this a coincidence, or is there a message that is deliberately intended to be conveyed to the ARMY? Reports from several eyewitnesses said that after that moment, the atmosphere of the concert had turned quieter. The other BTS members looked at each other, as if they understood something that the public did not understand. Some fans even considered RM's facial expression to show anxiety, while Jimin was seen trying to calm the atmosphere with a warm smile despite his own teary eyes. Small details like this further reinforce the belief that the moment was not just an ordinary incident. The issue of a possible breakup is not the first time haunting BTS. Whenever members talk about the future, the ARMY is always made anxious. But this time it feels different.
Why?
Because Jungkook, a member who is known to be the most powerful, energetic, and rarely shows emotional weakness in public, suddenly becomes the most fragile figure. If Jungkook just couldn't help crying, what was really going on behind the stage? This moment also gave rise to analysis from observers of popular culture. Some academics think that the event reflects the enormous pressure faced by BTS members. The pressure to maintain global relevance, the pressure to meet the expectations of millions of fans, as well as the pressure of a personal life that is often overlooked behind the glitter of the stage. Taehyung's sentence, whatever its meaning, could be the trigger that opens the tap of Jungkook's emotions that have been suppressed. However, a more controversial analysis came from some South Korean media. They highlight that the entertainment industry often uses an emotional teaser strategy to keep the public's attention. Is it possible that Jungkook's crying moments and Taehyung's words are just part of a grand narrative deliberately conceived to create hype? This question certainly caused a long debate between seeing BTS as ordinary people who dissolve in sincere emotions, or as a global icon that is inseparable from industrial calculations. What is indisputable is the impact. Within hours of the video circulating, hashtags related to Jungkook and Taehyung immediately topped Twitter/X trending in various countries. Armies from different parts of the world shared emotional responses. Some cried together, some refused to believe, others were angry at the media for exaggerating. This situation proves how powerful BTS's influence is in shaping global conversations. Even from just a sentence and a drop of tears, the presence of this moment in public spaces not only raises questions, but also creates an emotional wave that cannot be ignored. Many soldiers said they could not sleep after watching the footage, imagining the worst that could await. Why did Taehyung choose those words at that time on such a big stage? Why is Jungkook not able to hide his reaction, even though he has been known as a tough figure, even when facing controversial issues? Communication experts from Seoul National University, who often analyze the phenomenon of Korean pop culture, confirmed that emotional words thrown out in public situations have double power. First, as an explicit message delivered to the audience in person. Second, as implicit messages that are massively consumed and interpreted by a global audience through social media. Thus, Taehyung's sentence is not only addressed to Jungkook, but also to the army all over the world. The question is, what does he want to say? Some fans suspected that the sentence was related to BTS's internal condition, which is currently in transition. Conscription, tight schedules, and the group's comeback plans, which continue to remain a mystery, were cited as factors that made the emotional atmosphere inevitable. This is not a farewell, but a kind of affirmation that they are going through a difficult time, wrote one of the large army accounts with millions of followers on Twitter. However, not a few think otherwise. Taehyung wouldn't talk like that if there wasn't something serious. "We must prepare for the worst possible," commented another fan who immediately went viral. This polemic is getting hotter when the international media come to light. The Korea Herald, one of the major media outlets in South Korea, released an article titled, "Jungkook in Tears, the Unspoken Message of BTS Taehyung." The article questioned whether Jungkook's crying was just an ordinary emotional reaction, or rather a reflection of the group's more complex internal dynamics. Japanese media, such as Nikkei Sports, even highlighted this phenomenon as an emotional alarm that could be a turning point in BTS's history. But on the other hand, Big Hit Music, as BTS's agency, did not provide any comment. This silence actually muddied the atmosphere. In the K-pop tradition, agencies usually move quickly to issue clarifying statements if an issue is deemed to be detrimental to their artist's image. However, this time there was no official statement, no refutation, no clarification. Shut up. And silence, in the case of BTS, is often interpreted as more frightening than 1,000 words. Why did Big Hit choose silence? Some observers say the agency is calculating the impact and the most appropriate communication strategy. However, part of the army considers Big Hit silence to be indirect confirmation that something big is indeed being prepared. "If this was just a misunderstanding, they would have clarified it from the beginning," said one fan interviewed by local television stations. The situation got even more emotional when a few days later Jungkook did a short live on the Weverse platform. His face looks tired, his eyes are slightly puffy, and his voice is hoarse. He did not directly mention the moment with Taehyung, but the sentence he said made ARMY even more hesitant. "Sometimes there are things I can't explain now, but you will understand later." The sentence, while simple, adds fuel to already smoldering speculation. Is this some kind of code? The event also opened up a broader discussion about how industry pressures affect idols' mental health.